Hello everyone, this morning I went to another large book sale in the area. It's an annual one that we've never gone to before, and I probably won't go back. It was an okay morning, a decent haul, but it was the most disorganized large scale book sale I think I've ever been to. The prices were a little bit higher than I like for these types of books. Like, there's nothing truly spectacular, no manga, no really high dollar stuff. There was a lot of just really worn, worthless books, and there are 40,000 books, so they say. I don't think there are quite that many, but there were a ton of books, and there was a lot that just I wouldn't even have picked up if it was something I wanted to read in really beat up condition. And there's a lot that, for reselling purposes, would just not be worth the prices they were charging. Just very generic, cheap fiction and that kind of stuff. And but I did leave with a decent little haul, and we're used to paying anywhere from 25 cents to $1 normally for paperbacks, and that's a good way of grabbing a lot of these kind of things. So here they were more like $1.50, $1 to $1.50, so a little bit higher. It's like, hey, 50 cents, 25 to 50 cents more than what you're used to. Who cares? But if it's selling for the store and I'm picking up for 25 cents more than I normally would, I don't charge 25 cents more than I normally would on the store. I make 25 cents less than I normally would. So that's the thing to think about there. I went through, and it was outside in basically those big white wedding tents that you'd have, a whole bunch of those lined up with the sides down and everything. I got there about a half hour early, was somewhere around 50th in line. It was just crazy. I was like the youngest person there by 20-something years. I was the only person in the entire crowd with a mask. I mean, it was just like very different demographic, and people were just were aggressive. It opened at 9, and at 8:59, some guy tried to force his way through the door, and they like screamed at him and like almost started to fight some. Like, what the hell are you doing? And then as soon as the time hit, people weren't just going in the door; they just stepped to the right and started lifting up the sides of the tent and like squeezing under. It's really just like, it was like Night of the Living Dead with the senior citizens just going for these books that weren't even that great. And so I went through, and it was very disorganized. On top of all that, it was extremely hot out. I mean, it was just not a good environment. And they didn't have, I was done like fairly quickly considering the amount of books that there were, and none of the checkout area was ready yet. It was, like 9:30. It was like a half hour after they opened, and they've been setting up all morning, and they weren't even ready yet, and they couldn't figure stuff out, and that was just a whole thing. It took forever. And they had another thing that was odd before you check out, that it was one of those situations where I wish I was, less honest of a person, because they took you to a counting table, which they do a lot of book sales. You go somewhere and people count up your books and tally it up, and you take the paper they give you over to the checkout, and it makes things run very smoothly. But here, you were counting up your own books. No one was doing it for you. You just had a green piece of paper that said, like hardcover paperback, like children's paperback, and they had the prices next to them, and you just wrote how many of each you had, and then you went up to the register, handed it, and so you could lie. You could straight up just get free books if you wanted to, but I couldn't do it. I probably should have, but I couldn't do it. So I was truthful. I could have gotten some free books for the store, but I didn't. Anyway, so that was just weird. And so that whole thing took forever, but I left with a decent little stack of these Left Behind kids books, these will sell well if you have a lot in consecutive order, and they seem to be much easier to find here than a lot of other places. Usually when we get these and sell them, they're normally to like the other side of the country, like almost always, because that type of book is very common around here. Found a decent stack of fantasy Dragonlance, all newer covers, like the early 2000s, but a nice little stack here. But we have Dragons of Summer Flame, a very new cover, version of that, and very, very different from the ones I am used to. And then we have this trilogy, The War of the Souls, Fallen Sun, Lost Star, and Vanished Moon. And then a box set of the Legends trilogy with the twins. Some of the first ones I ever read. Newer versions of these with Wizards of the Coast rather than the old TSR or whatever. But yeah, nice little box set in really good condition. So that was worth grabbing there. A few other books. One, Forgotten Realms. The Lunar Chronicles. 2 of those. And then this looks pretty interesting. The Marquis de Sade, A Life. So a biography right there. And that was about it. I grabbed one for myself to read and see if it's one I want to keep or put up on the store or whatever. But we have Peter Falk, Just One More Thing. So that could be interesting. I really like Columbo, so this could be an interesting read, and we'll see if it's one for our library or one for the store. But I'll at least read that one first. So that was okay. That was a decent little haul, but it was a very, long morning and a lot of stuff going on to get that little haul. So it was okay, but I don't think I'd go back next year to go through the whole thing because I was out for a while. Did that, and then it happened to be just down the road from our favorite Goodwill bargain bins that we go to all the time. Just there yesterday even, and that was pretty much a waste of time. I went in, and the main room was well open with this. I just went in first just to see what was there. Didn't find anything. Wasn't there very long. Went to the bargain bins, and there was very little there. Also, waited in line for a while. I got one VHS for the store. We have The Outer Limits, a double episode collector's edition. So that is pretty cool, pretty nice. Checked it out. Tape looks fine. I'm gonna test it on the VCR upstairs, but yeah, I almost left empty-handed, which is never a good thing. Go into the thrift store, but thankfully I didn't just go there to go there. I just happened to be in the neighborhood, so that was an okay start to the morning. An okay little haul from the bookstore, and maybe I'll go back before this weekend, if not early next week. Check out and be back here with some more thrift store finds. Hopefully something a little better than today.